What up, though, people? It's your boy, Detroit Kool-Aid. I guess it's the season now. They got to call me Brandon Dent as well.
Yep.
And I'm rocking out with Mr. Everything over here, Jeff Iafrate of the Morning Woodward Show, of From Half Court, of Woodward Pistons. This dude, man, everywhere, man. Mr. Everything.
You know what's funny? I was at the game Friday. It was either Friday or Sunday, and I saw somebody, man. I can't remember his name, but shout out to you. First thing he said, he saw me. He goes, "Mr. Everything." I was like, "Yo, that is." I appreciate that. I love I love meeting people, man, especially around LCA
awesome.
that watch our stuff. It's big time.
Yep. Hey, it was awesome. It was awesome. Look,
Yeah.
we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this drum roll for the legend real quick, wherever he is. Maybe he might jump on today, but let's get it. Hey, yo, shout out to the legend Detroit News Rod Beard. Bro, hope you can jump on today. If not, no pressure, man, no sweat. But, yo, I love meeting people. It's
That's
awesome when we
huge.
get out into the arena. We all got to go out there and represent as Woodward Pistons against the Golden State Warriors. It was a great game to be at. It was a good win to see.
Good atmosphere too. I mean,
Great
a lot of famous. I mean, a lot of celebs down there. It's been a
talk
while
about
for
it.
me since I've been down there, and you've seen that many celebs. It was a Jalen Rose, Tom Izzo, E40. I mean, Ashton was obviously down there. I saw Omar from Sports Center, chopped it up with him for a little bit. Like just the networking. Troy Weaver got to talk to him. Like, and that's what I got to say too, man. Just the appreciation we have for not only the Pistons organization, but very key individuals in that organization, like Jackson or whoever we met. I mean, we went to the gondola and we got to just talk to some people. So very blessed for the opportunity, man. It was awesome. And I love meeting people. So we'll be at a lot more games. Definitely.
Shout out Jackson Marinez, man.
Yeah.
He definitely,
great guy.
He and the Pistons, they looked out for the crew. We had Sean Murphy down as well. It wouldn't be complete without that, Jeff, Sean, myself. It was fun. It was very fun. Hopefully, we want to be able to have the crew out at more games as well.
Yep.
And soon we're going to be having some giveaways for you all to have opportunity to be able to go to the games with us as well.
Do some meetups, man. That'd be cool.
Yep. Hey, but look, we got some Pistons basketball to talk about. But first, I want to get into some news. We will get into Isaiah Stewart. We will get into this Cade, Saddiq, Ivy fit and the best way to utilize that, as well as Cade Cunningham. We got to bring back these Cade zones. We have to, because a lot of things we said in the summer,
coming to life.
Yep, coming to life, man. That boy's been doing it.
Yeah,
Cade's been doing it. He's been doing it. But look, Bojan Bogdanovic, that 2-year, $39.1 million deal. I wanted to get your take on it. I know you've talked about it on other platforms as well, but just so we make sure Pistons got it as well. What is your takeaway from this, man? What do you see as it relates to the Pistons? I know before people were wondering, is he just going to be flipped at the deadline or whatnot? What does this say to you?
Well, initially, I did think he was going to be flipped at the deadline, but the more, I mean, you saw him play and the impact he has. I mean, there's no question he ain't going nowhere. And I guess it's been reported as well that was Troy's, the entire plan was to keep him and to retain him, sign him for a 2-year extension. I love it. I mean, we talked about this a lot in the summer too. Like for Cade and Jaden, for these guys to really excel, you're going to need guys like Bojan. And not to mention, he is a veteran, which is, I mean, I was at the game Sunday and you got to watch about a minute left. Bojan, bring everybody in the huddle and just break it down. Like that's the value, not only obviously the offense he brings, but that's the kind of, the things you don't really see all the time is the impact he has on the young guys. So I love the extension. Honestly, if you'd rather spend money, if you're going to spend money, spend on a guy who can get you 18 points, can shoot the hell out of the ball and knows his role.
It's a team
player. Very, very high IQ player too. I know defensively he's not, physically gifted, but his offense makes up for it, man. So I love it. I think he's a perfect fit with this team. We talked about it. Like you need shooting, and Bojan fits that mold. I'm curious to see the fit in the future. I mean, Dwayne, you can see him clearly trying to figure that out as well with Sadiq and Bojan, playing Sadiq more with the second unit, kind of getting those guys minutes a little staggered, but more shooting, man. And we talked about it. We can't just have only Saddiq Bey and Livers. You need more guys who can knock down shots, and Bojan brings that. So I love it.
Yeah, and one of the key things that's I'm glad, man. You touched on a lot of good points on Bojan, this deal, what it means to the Pistons in their future. He was just too good of an asset. Next year when they had this money, who's somebody we would probably try to sign? Bojan. So our free agency got started a little bit early,
Yeah, right.
And what's interesting about the amount and about the fit and about the position and all that, all summer we kept talking about who's going to fill the Jeremy Grant role. And we talked about why Jeremy Grant probably had to be traded with where this team was headed and the fit and things of that nature. Well, 20 million out, 20 million in. But that 20 million out got us some draft picks in, and then we were still able to go and use that freed up money to get Bojan Bogdanovic. I know in the last video we did, somebody was like, "Oh man, why you always praising Troy Weaver?" It was like, it's not that his deals are all perfect. It's the fact that his deals that aren't perfect, or his deals that are mediocre, or his deals that are good, he's always going to up the ante the next time around.
Yeah,
He doesn't wait long. We talked about it. He drafts guard, guard, guard. Big, big, big. We sitting here, we have Isaiah Stewart and Marvin Bagley, and they said, "No, we love Jalen Duren." Yeah, that's his MO, and he's not going to rest. He's not going to stop. And then he went and signed guys that would push Saddiq Bey, that would push Isaiah Stewart.
That's what we love, competition.
And now what you want to see him do is continue to take that next step forward, continue to do that. They're going to have a great opportunity this free agency. But I just thought that was interesting, that swap, more of a defensive-minded playmaker in Jeremy Grant versus an offensive-minded playmaker in Bojan Bogdanovic.
And that was the biggest thing, right? Is the fit. Like for Jeremy, yeah, we always talked about the biggest, I think, and you would agree, the biggest loss for Jeremy wasn't even offense, it was defense. Like you knew you're losing a guy 6'9", over a 7-foot wingspan, like the versatility he brings. But at least with Bojan, it's a better fit. Like Bojan doesn't need the ball in his hands all the time. Like Bojan can play off ball and just be there when you need him. Jeremy, his game kind of revolves around having the ball in his hands. So I think Bojan's just a better fit. If you're going to spend $17-18 million on a player, like I'll take Bojan, man. It's just
definitely
and it's a short-term extension. I believe it's the max they could extend him for, right? It was 2 years. They couldn't sign him to a 3-4 year deal. And I also was reading that the second year of that contract is like partially guaranteed, if I'm not mistaken. It's something, correct me if I'm wrong. Yes. And so Troy always finds a way to maneuver it. So you still have that flexibility. But as of right now, man, it's a great fit. Like he was the leading scorer on your team the first 3 or 4 games. Yeah, which is crazy to think about.
It's awesome too, and you see that reflected in Cade Cunningham's assists and his stats.
Right there,
those guys work well together. And you know what? I was going to talk about Isaiah Stewart and his Al Horford comparison, but let's just jump right to Cade, Saddiq, Ivy, this fit like right away. Because I believe that Cade Cunningham has benefited the most from Bojan Bogdanovic. With Jeremy Grant, as much as people said he was a ball stopper, I think it was with Sadiq Bey, the type of offensive game he plays is definitely, I trust his offense a little bit better than Jeremy Grant's consistently on a consistent basis.
Right.
But you couldn't have those two players in the same starting lineup or pretty much on the same team and take these steps forward. Adding Bojan to the team, you see how it alleviates certain pressure points. But Saddiq Bey was still somebody that when you looked at it, Coach Casey talked about it, he needed to get his usage rate up. I've seen people banty about saying, well, they need to do the same thing for Ivy. There's only so much of that you can do.
Right.
There's only so much of that you can do. And the reason why I want to be able to leave kind of this combo of Ivy and Cade Cunningham together is because of the outlet that he provides. On one wing, you have a shooter in Bojan Bogdanovic, who can also put the ball on the floor a little bit and get into the paint. On the other wing, you have Jaden Ivey, who's proving that though he's not necessarily a sharp shooter, he can be a reliable,
respectable
shooter. What we want Killian Hayes to be.
Absolutely.
Yep. He's respectable. But what he can also do is put the ball on the floor and be versatile as well. That's what you want. Where that leaves Saddiq Bey out of the picture is he needs the ball in his hands to be able to work. You see, his game is a little bit more versatile than just I'm a 3-and-D guy. I think his game suffers when he is playing the Bojan Bogdanovic role.
Yeah.
He just doesn't seem to look good in that role. But when you move him off to the bench and get that usage rate up, you see he's able to work out, and that bench needs help.
No, it does. And I mean, Bagley, Burks cannot get back any sooner. And now with Duren with the ankle injury, those guys got to get back. I mean, this, like you said, the bench is just, I mean, Killian Hayes, I think he's struggling on the year, does not help that. But to your point about Sadiq Bey, it's crazy because Sunday against the Warriors, I'm at the game and I'm watching, and that looked like the Sadiq Bey you just described, like putting the ball on the floor, getting to the rack.
Yep.
And for teams too, and I kind of talked to Sean about this watching the game. I'm like, I feel like this is before the game, like right when it started. I'm like, I feel like this is a good matchup for Stu. Like this Warriors team, they're 29th in the league in block shots. Like this is soon enough, Isaiah Stewart, like 22 and 13, whatever it was. So he played well. But they had a great game plan. And this is what I love about, Dwayne Casey is people want to criticize him early in the season, but his ability to adjust and have a great game plan going into that Golden State game. Like, listen, guys, this team can't really protect the rim. You're going to be aggressive, take it to them. draw fouls. They shot a lot of free throws. I believe they shot 38 free throws that game.
Wow.
So that's what I loved is Sadiq Bey. You saw him putting the ball on the floor, being aggressive, attacking the bigs. He attacked Looney, attacked whoever it was, Draymond Green. And that's a Saddiq Bey we got to see more because this is a guy I thought initially would be your second leading scorer until Ivy comes along. Man, Ivy's arrived much earlier than I expected, but we know Saddiq Bey can do a lot more than what's been shown before the Warriors game.
Did Ivy arrive much sooner than you expected? Because during the summer, this is why we said you take Jaden Ivey.
Right.
We stated, you know what? It would be nice to see him try and get to that 15-5-5.
I just thought, you know what, though? I thought he'd struggle initially. I'm actually like surprised in a good way. Like his shooting is a lot better than I thought. His passing is being a defender, loose ball. I mean, he's chasing everything. The guy is he's everything Pistons fans wanted and more. And for Saddiq Bey, there's still a level he could take his game up, which is exciting.
Yeah. Yep. Goodness gracious. Realistically, what this rebuild is dependent on right now are those 3 years that Troy Weaver's made some draft picks. You know, Killian, we got to see more from him.
Yeah.
We got to see more from him. And I know if when Rod is able to jump on, we're definitely going to discuss that. He had some, some pretty strong criticism about Killian in our last conversation. And I wanted to be able to dive into that more because we haven't seen much improvement since then.
And that's the tough part. Like for Killian Hayes, it's such a big year for him. At this point, it's like, and I've seen this conversation kind of floating around. Like, what do you do with Killian? Do you put him in the G League? I wouldn't, because I feel like for Killian Hayes, it's so tough because I feel like you got to cater him in a way. Like if you want his confidence to get to where we want it to be, the fact that you'd have to send him to the G League for that. Yeah, like you're right. It might push that, but you're hoping it would just click. Yeah,
it might crush his confidence.
You just want it to click with Killian. And as much as we could talk about Killian being a good defender, a good playmaker, he's doing everything else. Eventually, you gotta score at an NBA level. You can't be a liability. This is kind of different players, different size players, but Ben Simmons, like this is my thing with Ben. And trust me, Killian's not making anywhere what Ben's making contractual wise. But Ben Simmons, like at points, you're a liability. Like that's what it is you could be a great defender, a great playmaker, great rebounder, but you got to be able to score. And again, if he could do that, this bench would be even better. But right now, it doesn't help.
No, it doesn't. You have to be able to take those offensive steps forward. No one's asking Isaiah Stewart to be a 25-point per game, 20-point per game, or even 15-point per game scorer.
Right.
We ask, can you average the double-double? And he's doing that right now at 13.1 and 10.4 rebounds a game, 13.1 points per game. You know, he's doing that. And he took the steps forward where in the areas of his game that he knew he would have to be effective. If teams are going to start shading the offense to give Killian certain looks, you have to find a way to make yourself effective, or else your playmaking becomes much more difficult to initiate.
Right.
You know, if Isaiah Stewart isn't hitting the three or at least a threat, I noticed a couple times people leave him open. Then late in the game, they're not leaving him open. What does that do? That opens up the whole middle of the paint. There's no more of that sagging defense that's been plaguing this offense.
Especially after that Magic game. You have to hit that big shot.
Yep.
That big 3-ball at the end of the game.
Yep. And you see it with Cade too. This year, his looks in the middle, though he's finally getting back into that mid-range.
Ooh.
Like these
elbows, the elbow jumpers. Man.
It's been tough though. It hasn't been like, I can't wait to see how it looks with Marvin Bagley setting those screens and he's just sitting there open. But wow, man, he's hitting some tough shots. Yo, do you have Cade's stats, man?
I do.
Pull those up for me. Cade he's been absolutely working it, and that's where this thing starts. We've said that in the whole summer. We said this thing starts with Cade Cunningham. We said I think he got that ability to hit that 25, 7, and 5.
Yeah.
We thought he would be able to come in and at least do that post All-Star break numbers that run that 22, 7, and 6. You know where he's at currently?
Yeah, he's 23, 6, and 7. I mean, he is. He's above my. I thought he'd be around 22, 6, and 6. He's really 23, 6, and 8, 7.
And that's
the guy's balling and he's shooting. What's
the slow start percentage, right?
Yeah,
that's what the fans were saying.
Well, people were saying that he's a step slow, even though he gained 15 pounds of muscle. 44% field goal percentage, 30% from 3. But that 3-point percentage is, I mean, the first couple games he struggled. And this is the thing I love about Cade. Before I got to hop on the morning show, and I want to hear your thoughts on it. The first couple games you saw his 3-point attempts. I believe it was like 6, 6, whatever, 5.
Yeah.
And the last couple games it's been 3, 3, 3. And we talked about Ashton. We talked to Ashton at the game Sunday. And the one thing he told us is like, hey, I want him to work inside and out, like work your mid-range, get to your spots, and then you could step out and try and hit those 3 balls. And he's doing just that. And you could see the last 3 or 4 games, man, the guy has 20 at the half, 27 at the half. And that's what I love too, is before Cade, and I love this mindset. You don't want him to be selfish, but he's this mindset of, I'm going to get everybody else involved. And then when it's my turn, I'm going to go eat. It's the opposite lately, which I love, by the way. It's like, hey, I'm going to take the initiative. I'm going to be aggressive early, and then I'll get my teammates involved. That's how it should be with this current team, because you don't have all the talent in the world. You have a lot of young guys. And for Cade, he's got to be that dude. You got to take the initiative early on, especially against the Bucks, the Warriors. You got to be aggressive. The Hawks on Friday, he did that. So I can appreciate that about Cade, his ability to adjust. And I think it speaks a lot to his basketball IQ, because he just understands what to do and when to do it. And with the help of, he has a great, obviously, supporting cast with Ashton and Cannon and all those guys. But his ability to adjust that quickly, it's impressed me the most.
Because for as much as
self-aware, very self-aware.
Very self-aware. For as much as I love Chauncey Billups, that's somebody that I believe Killian Hayes should continue to look at, because his career didn't blossom until about year 6.
Right.
But for as much as I love him, and I remember we tried to compare different players to these old teams, the comparison that Cade Cunningham and that I hope the camp and people are looking at, it needs to continue to be Grant Hill. It needs to continue to be that. And Grant Hill knew, I'm that guy.
Yeah,
he went out there and he got that 25-7-7. He went out there and did that, and that's what we need, because the team needs that. And I was so glad to know that when James asked him, I believe, I forget who asked in the press conference, but they asked him, hey, what was up with the aggressiveness? He said, my teammates wanted me to have that. They went out there and said,
I love that.
This. And that's what I was like, you know what? This team knows what the deal is, and they know that the scorers, they're all going to get their time, because whose scoring starts to pick up in the second half. They don't have to stagger when they play together. Like, all right, let's let Ivy get his own time without Cade. No. In the second half, they say, hey, Ivy, let's go. Because you see Cade's numbers, his scoring start to go down a little bit or slow, but you see his assists, his rebounds, his playmaking, his hustle, and other things continue on while Ivy starts to wreak havoc on the defense. It's almost like football, where you're hitting them with Jamal Williams, you're hitting them with your heavy back, and all of a sudden you send out the speedster who just runs through, and it's game over. Right. I love this approach, and we've seen it highly effective over the last couple games. I know you got to get going, brother.
I do. But another thing too, I got a statement before I leave.
Hey,
these are to the referees out in the NBA right now.
Bro,
y'all listen. If you got to invest in some contacts, we could talk. All right, maybe I can hook you up. We can work out a deal to where I get royalties or something. We'll work out a sponsorship with some glasses company, some contacts company. We got to get these refs right.
Let me put the hoodie
because what I saw on Friday, Cade was out there getting physically abused, and there's no calls, man. And then Sunday, it trended kind of in that direction. Now, for Sunday, they got a lot of calls at home, but overall, how do you gain 15 pounds of muscle and get less calls?
Bro,
I'm trying to understand.
Let me get serious for a second.
I'm trying to understand
for a second. You know what? Because
what the hell is that?
Shout out Cade. Shout out to his camp. Shout out to whoever's working with him and all that.
And if you're watching, tell Cade we see it. All right, we see it.
Because you know what? Getting fouled. Maybe he put on those pounds because he knew I'm not relying on no refs. Maybe he said, I put on these 15. I'm just about to sun all these people. All those times last year when he said, "Yo, I'm getting bumped, rough." Yo, that's why I lost the ball. We saw there were turnovers that were attributed to him that should have been fouls.
There were some scary ones too.
Scary ones.
Like he could have got hurt on the one. I think it was against the Hawks, where he landed kind of like that. That could have been a no call and a knee injury. Like that could have been way worse.
What was that? That huge dunk he did where he fell pretty hard. And it's like, at least call a foul. I remember he looked up and he looked at them, and it's like, you know what? This is why you bulk up. This is why you get better.
Right.
It's not so you can gain the calls. It's so you can go out there and be the boss that you know that you are. And that's what I love about it, man. Y'all, I respect it so much. It's just as we were sitting here talking about it, we were all summer like, yo, he's going to bulk up. So, some of the turnovers goes down, and then he gets the calls. And it's like, no, he bulked up, and now he's going out there and doing, what was those stats? You said 23.
I want to look at it before I go. I just want to see his free throw attempts. Oh, he's attempting 4 per game.
That's trash. That's trash.
Hey,
that's trash. Man.
Hey, appreciate it. Well, we got to cover. We'll cover the. Yeah, me too, man. Next time we'll cover how much did his free throws attempts actually go up. What is it? It's only went up 2 his rookie year to his sophomore year. I'm pretty sure last year he shot like 2 free throws a game, and now he's at 4.
Yeah.
Get it right, refs.
Jay
Get it right.
too, man. He's getting hosed as well. But I get it. Rookie year. And hey, maybe it's good for these guys. Maybe it's good. I just started Dragon Ball Z with my young ones. You got to start them up right. And in that show, we already know it starts off with Vegeta, it starts off with Goku, it starts off with these people going to work, getting beat, but getting stronger and stronger and stronger, man. And I'm hoping that with this squad, with this team, man, that's something that this squad does, bro. Especially Cade Cunningham. He's somebody that continues to get hit, continues to get hit, continues to get hit. And in this season, we've only seen him get better and better and better. Shout out to my man Tyler Mormon NBA at T Mormon NBA. That's TMOORMAN NBA. After the game versus Milwaukee, Cade's taking 20 plus shots in 4 straight games. Last year, he only took 20 plus in 16 total games. That's huge, man. It speaks to the level of aggressiveness that Cade Cunningham has just taken or accepted. He hasn't gone out there to seek for it. I wrote an article about what Cade Cunningham should look to do, what this Pistons squad should look to do. You can find it up on Woodward Sports. Now, look, it got Pistons Twitter up in a tizzy. It got some people up in a tizzy, but a lot of people read it. A lot of people actually agreed with the point. But the title of it, man, shout out to Rogelio, man, of Woodward Tigers. He got it going. He got it provocative. He asks, is Cade Cunningham selfish? I made the point that I believe Cade Cunningham should be selfish. I made the point that when the Pistons are best is when Cade Cunningham is looking to attack. We all know that his basketball IQ is high. We all know that Cade Cunningham can make the best play. That's why you draft him. The aspect of being a connector that Troy Weaver and Coach Casey talked about that drew them to Cade Cunningham as a pick. They said once you have a guy like that, then you could start your rebuild. Then you could start to build out your team that's going to be looking to compete in the very near future. That's why you can go out and sign a guy like Bojan Bogdanovic rather than saying, well, we still have to kind of find the right young players and the right fits, who's going to be our right center or our right bigs or our power forward or this or that. When you have a Cade Cunningham, it makes a lot of different things better. You don't have to rely so much on some of these other guys to have like exponential leaps or exponential jumps forward. So you need Cade to be that guy. And that's what got us talking in the summer about, can this team reach the play-in game, the play-in playoffs? Can they reach 60? Can they compete for that at least? Can they be in the mix as it gets down to the end of the season? What we saw opening night and what we saw over the previous 3 games from this squad, previous 2 games from this squad, I definitely believe so. They had a couple nasty blowouts, one against the Hawks, one against the Knicks, that just shouldn't happen. And I believe that they're still working things out. I got to shout out James Edwards of The Athletic. He's the one that actually reported on the conversation between Saddiq Bey and Coach Casey as they discussed his usage rate going up. They said that that's the best way he is effective. I don't know if Jaden Ivey as a rookie, not that he isn't good. He's good. That boy has shown that he is good. But that I believe he works so much better with Cade. I like seeing them play together. They just have to learn and build that chemistry as they go on. And Jaden Ivey is going to have to learn that NBA as well. But it puts him in a position to succeed without having to have the pressure of making for his own, without having Cade and Bojan and those guys out there. With Sadiq Bey, I love the fact that this was partly his idea too when talking to Coach Casey. And this is what Sadiq Bey is, man, as a thinker. And we're all, getting to know these players, all of us, and what we've known and what we've gotten to know about Sadiq Bey is that this guy is always looking for ways to improve. He's always looking for ways to be better. And so to take on the responsibility and the challenge of saying, I want the usage rate to go up. I believe I have more that I can contribute. I believe that I can be that scoring punch because the bench has been woeful. The bench has been very, very, very woeful. I'm gonna get the stats up here in a little bit. But for him to take that responsibility on, and I like it. And it's not gonna always work out. But what I like about it is this: when he is just a little bit off, it's not like it's because he's shooting badly. This season, if you look kind of at his box score, when his scoring has been down, his shooting has been down as well, which means he was looking to do other things. And one of those areas that I want you all to look at with Sadiq Bey, it's not that he's perfect, but he's improved greatly in it. It's his defense. He's trying a lot harder, and him slimming down in the summer has been, I believe, one of the biggest factors in his overall not effort but his ability to have maximize his effort have a maximum impact. So I really like what he's been able to do since this kind of new lineup change has gone into effect. I know the Pistons have been trying to figure out what exactly they need to do to be able to get this team off to a good start. So all right, we're about to pull up this Pistons bench scoring. They've only put up 188 points this season. I had the actual rankings here. It was 26th in the league before the Bucks game. And they still haven't done much. One player though of interest who I believe has benefited as well from having Sadiq Bey, kind of his usage rate going up playing with the bench, is Hamidou Diallo. He hasn't necessarily scored the best, but um his last game I know he put up 14 points against the Bucks. He played well. He's been very, very scrappy though on D. I've seen where Hami has taken on this responsibility or this role of, you know what, if I'm not able to really, really get my scoring going, if my 3-point shot isn't there, I've seen him try really hard on defense. I've seen him try really hard to cut hard. I've seen him try hard to actually get to the basket. I've seen him really try to dunk. And those are the things that I'm really, really liking. Against the Bucks, and I know they play the Bucks tonight as well. But against the Bucks, they did fall 110 to 108. Let me see here. Hamidou Diallo. He had 13 points on 4-9 shooting, 3 personal fouls. That means he was being real, real, real aggressive. Oh, and these referees have kind of been a little ticky-tack on our Pistons this year. 5 rebounds for him to go with 1 steal in the game. 5 or 6 free throws as well, again, to show his level of aggressiveness on the court and getting to the rim. He was a +6 in this game. And honestly, the entire bench in this game was a plus. Isaiah Livers was a +12. Nerlens Noel was a +1. Killian Hayes was a +7 in this game. He did have 4 rebounds and 3 assists. So at least if he's not scoring, you want to see him kind of do something, but he got to get that scoring together. And I'm just going through this bench just because there are some aspects of this bench that we thought could work a little bit better, like Isaiah Livers, but he only had 3 points in this game, 17 minutes, 1 or 2 shooting. He has shown some defensive versatility that we haven't seen last year. His ability to be able to go out and defend really the 1 through the 5. I did know he had this ability to be a great wing defender and kind of be versatile in pinches, but against the Hawks, he showed some great versatility in being able to even defend Trae Young, as well as Jalen Duren, who definitely, prayers up to Jalen Duren. Hopefully that ankle gets rested up and healed up as soon as possible so he can get back to action. But my question is this to you all, man, and definitely put down in the comments as it relates to this bench. Is there any other fix that you would do as we await the return of Marvin Bagley and Alec Burks? Because you got to remember, this is why Coach Casey is trying to, I believe this is why he is treating this with kid gloves. I got the opportunity to ask him in one of the press conferences, what are the challenges of managing the big man rotation? And he spoke to the fact that we can't even play Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart together because we have no centers. At the rate that they're being called for fouls right now, which I hope that the league gets right, these guys aren't even able to play together. You got Jalen Duren subbing in for Isaiah Stewart because he got 2 fouls, and then Jalen Duren get 2 fouls right away, and then you got Isaiah Stewart coming back in getting his 3rd foul before the half. Then Jalen Duren sitting at 3-4 fouls right at the beginning of the 3rd quarter. You can't do that. But when you get Nerlens Noel into the mix, when you get Marvin Bagley into the mix, then you can go on ahead and play those guys together. So in the context of that, and in the context of trying to make sure that your starters can actually get their chemistry together, you can't really jangle and mix up the lineups that much. So it's not that Casey is doing it right. I don't, or wrong, but that he does got a lot on his plate. And so that's the perspective that I wanted to be able to bring to the table before I ask that question and be able to dive into it a little bit more. Is what else would you do to be able to fix this bench? Do you believe that Jaden Ivey should have a little bit more time off the bench by himself to be able to just put in work, or should he be playing in that second lineup with Sadiq Bey? My answer to that question, which is one hypothetical that I saw kind of floating around, give Jaden Ivey, give Sadiq Bey more time with the bench players. You got two ISO dominated players that are going to just have to have the ball in their hands in that type of a situation. You would hope that Killian Hayes would have enough to be able to play make, but the pick and roll game is going to be struggling a little bit in that regard. So it doesn't necessarily free up a lot of space on that wing if we're talking more basketball X's and O's for Jaden Ivey. It would be completely Jaden Ivey having to be Jaden Ivey. Just do the Jaden Ivey show. When he's playing with Cade Cunningham, I know we touched on this a little bit earlier in the show as well. It gives him the ability to play off of the gravity that Cade Cunningham creates. There's a lot that absorbs and sucks into where and who Cade Cunningham is on the court. You have a higher propensity to have a lob thrown from Cade Cunningham to Jaden Ivey than you do from Saddiq Bey to Jaden Ivey. Not that it's not going to happen, but you have that chance to happen more with Cade Cunningham just because of the type of playmaker he is. Standing at 6'6", can get anywhere on the court with his methodical pace. People say he's slow, but they can't stay in front of him. People say he can't dribble that fast, but for some reason he shifts them all around the court. Man, goodness, man, that boy has been balling. He was 11 of 23 in this last game, 3 of 9 from 3. So that's what really affected his shot. He's been shooting much better from the 2-point field goal range since he's kind of picked his spot with those free throws. And we're gonna get to that with our Cade zone. But again, with this bench, I think Hamidou Diallo, he's one of those players who, since you're not necessarily dependent on his offense, it works in his game. You move a Jaden Ivey to that role, I think it makes the bench a little bit shorter. When you get Marvin back and you get Alec Burks back, it's going to provide a lot more balance. As we go through this here with these starters, man, in that last game, this is more of what I was speaking about too. Sadiq Bey only had 10 points in that game, played 27 minutes. 4-9 shooting, 1 of 4 from 3, 1 of 1 free throw line, 2 assists, 2 steals. With Saddiq Bey, I believe that this is what you're going to see from him all season. You're going to see him have games where his shot volume is very, very low because that's what he's asked to do. That's just the flow of the game. And you see it was 110, 108. They had a shot to take down, the Milwaukee Bucks. He was also playing tough defense out there. Whenever they play a team like this, he's going to be asked in part to guard the guys like Giannis and some of these bigger guys. With Saddiq Bey, you're going to see this all season. Just from my take, just from listening to coach, listening to these players, understanding that Saddiq Bey is not going out there to look for his. He did not ask to I want to go out there and score mine or anything of that nature, but he asked if I can have a bigger impact on the game. They notice his impact is greater on the team when his usage is up. But definitely, with Sadiq Bey, you're gonna see the games where he's going out there and an opportunity presents for him to get 30 and 40. And the great thing is that when you have a guy at the helm like Cade Cunningham, he's gonna make sure that those mouths get fed. But there's only one ball to go around. They scored 108 points. You're gonna see him maybe hit another 1 or 2 threes, but this is what you're gonna see from him. You're gonna see 1 of 4, then you're gonna see 2 of 5. 1 of 4, 2 of 5. See here. So I want to be able to talk Isaiah Stewart and Al Horford before we get into this Cade zone. Before we get there, man, with him, I want you guys quickly to put in the comments what your thoughts are on Isaiah Stewart this season. I know on the Woodward Pistons podcast before the season started, the opening day, that is the Wednesday of, we asked some very, very important questions. Is there anyone that's going to average at least 8 assists a game? Cade Cunningham is looking like he's going to push for that. He's up to 7 on the season now. But we also asked, is there going to be any big man that averages a double-double? looking at it right now, we got Isaiah Stewart sitting here at 13.1 points per game and 10.4 rebounds per game. And what's significant about that is that we all believed he could get there, but we thought he would just fall short. I know Rod, Mike, myself, I believe even Jeff, we all stated, nah, we think he's gonna fall just short of that double-double. It's gonna be tough. Not that we thought his impact was gonna be lower, but just the type of player he is, it was gonna be tough. What he's showing in the early part of the season is that you know, that same type of grit, the same type of like heart and hustle. We hear the Lions talk about it, this grit, this grit, this grit. And I'm not going to diss them or anything of that nature. But when you hear people talk about that, you want to see it actually be something that is elevated in their game. You want to see that their game is actually proving that. And so with Isaiah Stewart, I stated I did not know if the starting for the future was effectively on this squad. What he's showing right now is that he's putting in the work. I think that his trajectory, his arc, the fact that, and he's talked about this a lot, and Cade Cunningham has as well, that the work that Isaiah Stewart has put in has paid off. That's why they trusted him to hit that shot against Orlando. That's why they did that. That's why they still trust him to hit threes every single game because of the work he's put in. When you have a player like that, his PER is sitting at 18.55 per this year on the early season. When you got a player like that, that's the type of player that you don't count out. That's the type of player you don't count out. So I'm not going to count out Isaiah Stewart. This is the year that I want to actually see him go out there and earn it. I want to see him go out there and prove it. Let's pull up his stats here to get a little bit more in depth. The 3-point percentage is something that you either want to see the attempts go down or the attempts be ones that are sound. He's hitting 23.5% on the year right now. Yeah, you got to get that a little bit under check right now. And the reason why I say you can't shoot everything that's open as it relates to Isaiah Stewart, it's not, the fact that you're open that you shoot it. These guys are sagging almost all the way down to the elbow or to the paint. What I've seen Isaiah Stewart be proficient at is being able to shoot the 16 to 20 footer. That's something I believe he has to be able to do. Isaiah Stewart has shown the proficiency of being able to put the ball on the floor. He's shown the proficiency of being able to take the 1-2 dribble, pull up, and shoot the rock. That's something that I want to see a little bit more out of him. These 3-pointers he's taking, let me see what he's taking on the year. He's taking 4.3 3-pointers a game. And that's what I'm saying. If he can just bring that down one, maybe take those opportunities, 1 or 2 more opportunities a game to actually step in. I think it'll help his game. It puts the positions in a little bit better position to be able to get into the bonus, get some more foul calls, because those bigs are not going to be able to stay with him. If he's being defended by a 5 or a 4 who's not as nimble on the defensive end as he and Jalen Duren have shown to be, then give him a pump fake, man. I've seen from the 3-point line, they're not really going for it. But if he took 1 or 2 dribbles in, what's going to happen? That defense is going to have to come in. Other defenders, the defender to the right who's guarding your teammate, the defender to the left who's at the top of the key, these guys are going to have to absorb into where you are. Now, all of a sudden, you're creating gravity, especially if you show to be something proficient. And if these guys don't, then put your back to the basket and start to back this player in, because, Stu, you're an animal, bro. You're an animal, bro. Like, really, get in there and put in that work as you continue to do, and continue to diversify that game. That's something that I would like to see from Isaiah Stewart as he continues to show that this maturation is for real, man. Like I said again, 13.1 points per game, 10.4 rebounds, 1.3 assists per game for Isaiah Stewart. And he hasn't allowed that perimeter defense to slip at all. He hasn't. That's something that has been very, very crucial for this team on the year. And he did really, really well defensively, I thought. As well as you can do against Giannis in that game against the Bucks as well. Obviously Giannis had 31 points. He was 0-4 from 3, 12 of 23 from the field goal range. So, there's only so much you can do to really slow him down. Brook Lopez, obviously he had a field day, 24 points, 9 rebounds, 10 of 16 shooting, 2 of 5 from 3. Drew Holiday, 25, 10, and 7. That was pretty much the bulk of it. And Bobby Portis came off the bench, and he does what he does, 15 and 12. And they use the full extent of their bench as well. They have a lot of guys off that bench that they can utilize and that they can go to. And it's the depth that you see the Pistons trying to build up to we're able to talk about the draft and we're able to talk about now Bojan, some that they've added to it. And we hope that, and Marvin Bagley, those are two players that have been added to this draft class that I believe can be looked at as a part of some part of this core. It's interesting that they all have 2-year deals. Rod has talked about that as well. That this window, this rebuild is going to take a totally different shift in 2 years. That's when that competing window or that contending window is supposed to be there. But let me see here. I think we talked about these starters. We talked about the bench. I want to be able to make sure we got everything fleshed out here before we actually talk about the main attraction. That's Cade Cunningham. Let's pull up Cade Cunningham stats here. And what I want you guys to tell me is this. What are some of the things that you've seen as it relates to improvement in Cade Cunningham's game? So do you believe that there's been some improvement from the beginning, first 1-2 games to what he's done over the last couple games? One of the things that I do know is in the beginning of the season, Cade Cunningham didn't want to come in and have a rep of being selfish. He didn't want to come in and have a rep of being a guy that was a ball hog. He wanted to come in and share not just the rock, but also this perceived spotlight or limelight as well. And I think that when you have a draft pick like Jaden Ivey, who's coming in with the type of hype and the type of talent, as well as guys like Jalen Duren, as well as your own teammates, like Sadiq Bey, you know what I'm saying? I think that for a young playmaker who's entering year 2, that can cause a little bit of up and down in this NBA. This is where, as it relates to Chauncey Billups, I will say, we got to give these guys some time. Think about all the teams that effectively just kind of with Chauncey Billups didn't really know how to utilize him. Thought he was just a short 2 guard that wasn't going to work in the NBA to any effective like championship level player. Unless he was maybe like some bench role or something like that. But there was people out there who saw the true potential of what Chauncey Billups could be, and they unlocked that. And that's what I see. The good thing with Cade Cunningham is that he has enough IQ himself. He has enough development around him. There's enough from what I believe is Troy Weaver's vision as well as his own camp. Shout out his brother, Cannon. Shout out Ashton, the trainer. Shout out his family and all that. These guys are all in his head, all in his ear. Shout out to all of the media as well. All of the different people who go and they put out their opinions. And a lot of people are out there stating maybe Cade Cunningham needs to go out there and look for his a little bit more. And what we've seen is that this team actually improves. That game, these games where he's scoring a lot, you see the starters going out there and getting a whole lot more. To look at this thing in perspective against the Bucks last game, Cade Cunningham shot attempts again over 20. But all the starters scored in double figures. You go back to the game before that against the Warriors when they put up 128 points. Cade Cunningham had 23, put up 20 shot attempts. But all the starters, you had 3 other guys that scored 20 with them. 4 players over 20 points, man. Bojan with 21. He got on 8 field goals. On 8 field goal attempts, boy. Look, you love to see that. Sadiq Bey got 28 on 17 field goal attempts, 4-9 from 3. Isaiah Stewart had 24 on 6 of 10 shooting, and Jaden Ivey had 15 on 2 of 5. These are the things that you like to see. That you see now that Cade Cunningham's usage, which is actually up from last year. His usage rate right now is up 2%, up to almost 29%, up from the 27% that it was last year. It's not hurting his game. It's actually showing the improvement and the steps forward, the growth that we all bantied about during the summer. You guys go back to some of those earlier episodes, you remember what we were talking about. And this was something that I was very, very huge on, very, very keen on. This guy, Cade Cunningham, he's an all-star level player. Period. The only thing that's going to hurt him this year, in my opinion, is that the team is not winning. But if he can pull this team into some type of competitive light, there's no way that they can deny a player who's looked the way Cade Cunningham has looked this season. People say he started the season slow before these last 2 or 3 games, and his scoring output went way up, and his shot attempts went to 20 plus over the last 4 games. Before that, Cade Cunningham was putting up 20 points. Hey, shout out to Kathy. Hey, a resident accountant. She's just the best lady in the world. I hope everybody in the world gets the opportunity to meet Kathy. But yeah, with Cade Cunningham, when people say he started slow, he was averaging literally like 25 and 6. That was his slow start to the season. Now, since he's gone out there and put up those shot attempts, everything else has risen to his rebounds, his assists, his scoring. The field goal percentage over the last few games has been a little bit better than his start, but remember he had this kind of slow start while they're trying to fill things out. I don't believe that was any indication on who Cade is as a player, more or less how he thinks the game, and it was just trying to get others involved. Asked to go forward, and hey, you see what's going on now. Let me pull up the advanced stats on his season so far. It's interesting here. You know, we looked at his field goal percentage and it looked like things were a little bit bleak on the season. Cade Cunningham's true shooting percentage on the season is actually up. Last year, he was at 50% true shooting. This year, he's at 52.6%, just about 53% true shooting. Now his 3-point attempted rate, that's down, which means he's not making as many threes per attempts anymore. So you want to see him get that up, and when he does, imagine what that true shooting will be. What this indicates, though, is that in the 2-point range, those mid-range shots that he's shooting a lot more of, and getting to the basket, he's finishing at the rim. He's finishing anywhere inside that arc at a pretty good clip. His free throw rate, we wanted to see it up more like 30% this year. He's sitting right now at 21.1% on the year. That's up from 16.3% on his free throw rate over the year. And this is our K zone, you guys. If you remember from the summer, this was a big part of what we were going to do with our show all summer because we said Cade Cunningham was worth it. LeBron had the LeBron ticker. Cade Cunningham is going to have a part in this show every single show. This is the interesting thing. As he's scoring more, his assist rate has gone up from 29.1% last year to 35.1% this year. You want to see his blocks and steals and those things go up, but he's being called for a few more fouls. Hopefully they get that figured out, man. And his usage, I'm sorry, guys. I said it was up 2%. It is up 3% now. His usage has gone up since the last time I checked it. Now he's sitting at 30.5% usage on the year. And he's handling the weight. That's a star, guys. This is a star, not a star in the making. This is a star. Now it's about his level of consistency and how much he continues to put this work in. And I believe he's going to definitely do it. I'm looking at all of his numbers, man, have just gone up. Just they just have across the board in his advanced metrics. Obviously, it's still early in the season. His PER has gone up from 13.1 last season to 17.7, which means that the more you let Cade Cunningham kind of go out there and choose to attack, the better it is for the Pistons. Period. I do, like I said, I want to see he's taking very, very, very smart 3-pointers. He's not taking like dumb 3-point attempts or anything of that nature or bad ones. I haven't seen him jacking any or even getting caught at the end of shot clocks. In that 2-point range, he's hitting about 50% of those, which is remarkable. His effective field goal rate is up. For last year, it was at 47%. This year, it is at 48.4%. So I like to see this, man. Even his field goal, his free throw percentage is up from 84.5 to 85.3. And you want to talk about the numbers of it all because these things matter. These things matter. When you talk about a player, sometimes people say you're just being a slappy or a homer, you know, in these conversations with your friends and the conversations even around media and conversations around social media. When you begin to start to talk about why Cade Cunningham should be considered for, you know, all-star, should be considered for this and that. Like last year, he got, in my opinion, robbed of Rookie of the Year because of team success. Well, his team was never going to succeed last year, despite the fact that he's the best player. And was the best rookie and led them in how many different categories? People said that his style of play didn't lead to any type of winning. Do you guys want to see what these Pistons would be like and look like without it? Without it, hey, welcome to the Victor Wembanyama show in Detroit. That's what would happen if Cade Cunningham was not playing, even with everybody else that they have. That's how good this guy is. One of the key things that I love about his game this year with Cade Cunningham is that he's taken a huge step forward as it relates to the other stats. His rebounding right now is up about 0.5, 0.6 per game, and his assists right now is up 1.2, 1.3 assists per game. That's huge, you guys. We all sat here last year and wondered, can he get to 22, 5, and 6? He's there. And I don't believe he's done. I believe that Cade Cunningham, when it's all said and done, is going to be a type of player this year that we recognize. Even if his at the end of the season stats don't reflect 25, 7, and 7, I believe we have our Grant Hill again. I believe we have that guy who's 25, 7 and 7 with a little bit better playmaking, a little bit less physicality. Obviously, Grant Hill was a dunker. He was a high flyer, he was a leaper. He had a little bit quicker handle as related to his crossover and things of that nature. But as it relates to effect on the game, effect on his team, Cade Cunningham is proving to be very, very similar as it relates to his playmaking, as it relates to being able to get to anywhere he wants to get on the court. And it's been awesome. It's been awesome to see. Um, the one of the things that people say is they complain about his turnovers. One area of improvement, his personal fouls and his turnovers right now are down a 0.1. His scoring is up almost 6 points per game. We thought that improvement was going to come if the free throw attempts went up. His free throws, we said, if he just gets just 2 more free throw attempts a game, he'll be a 20 points per game scorer. These are the takes that we had during the summer. As we bring this K zone back, from the summer. Last year he had 2.6 free throw attempts per game. Right now he's sitting at about 4.3 free throw attempts per game. So we got that couple. It's giving him a little bit more. Hopefully we can see Cade become that type of player that is getting regularly and routinely 6 and 7 free throw attempts per game. I'm going to continue to stand on that soapbox for Cade Cunningham because I continue to believe that he is that player. Last year, he stated he needed to be able to figure this game out a little bit, and he talked about it at media day as well, that he came into this season knowing exactly what to work for, knowing how people were going to attack him, knowing how people were going to come at him, knowing how people were going to try and take away certain aspects of his games. He even talked about how now he knows a little bit more tendencies of players, so now he can go out there and play a little bit better defense. So this isn't your regular set of young players on the squad. Are they gonna be perfect? Nah, they're not. They're not. But are they players that have all kind of proven to be proficient at something, as well as wanting to take that next step forward in themselves? I've seen Sadiq Bey go and work, not have to be told to work. And the coaches and Troy Weaver stated that. I've seen Cade Cunningham continue to go and work and work and work, and it's proven that in their games. With Killian, the disappointing thing is we know that he's been working. We've seen some of the incremental steps. We've seen the improvements. We saw him in preseason. And Coach Casey had this to say about him. He said, we saw it in preseason. As soon as the regular season hit, things just switched. And we don't, he has to figure that out in fast. That's what he stated. He got to figure that out in fast. And that to me signifies that they did find something out. They did help Killian as it relates to the development aspect of it. And you can see all these other players are taking steps forward. So when they're saying that he has to figure it out, that's where I believe it's about up top in his mind. Killian has to get out of his own head. He has to get back to directing traffic. He has to get back to realizing you're 6'5", not skinny. You got some muscle on you, man. You're a little bit cut. When he's going aggressive, it's not like guys are pushing him back. He's getting to the spots on his floor that he wants to get to. But he's playing soft. Let's just call it what it is. He's playing soft. He's playing timid. He's playing scared. He's playing like he doesn't believe the things that we know he can be. Every time that Troy Weaver picked one of these guys, he talked and gushed about what they could be. He talked about, it's almost as if he was like, no, I'm staking this on there. Like, you know what? There's value in me going out there and put my name on this, put my word on it. Not just, hey, this is where he was projected. So, we're going to just take this chance on him, No, that's not what Troy did. Troy went out there and said, no, Killian is a part of our core four. That's what he did. And they went and they broomed out other guys who are already here, Luke Kennard and Bruce Brown. Imagine if Bruce Brown was here. That boy would be taking Killian's lunch right now. Think about that, y'all. Think about that. So he cleared the deck again when he went and traded Saban Lee. Cleared the deck. Said Killian. And then went and renewed the contract. Said, look, bro, you ain't got nothing to worry about. Go out there and just ball. These things are all confidence builders or attempts at confidence boosting with Killian Hayes. That's what it reads like to me. So for him to be able to come out in the season right now and kind of revert, not really look like he's taking any steps, not look like he did in the preseason, not look like he did at the end of last season when he put in that nice stretch of games, at post All-Star break, it's disappointing. It's disappointing. We all held out hope that he would show some improvement, and the only thing you have left in it just It sucks that this is all we can say now is that there's still a lot of season left ahead of us. It's good and bad. It's good and bad. You wanted to be able to see him come out as Troy Weaver's first draft pick ever at the start of this thing, and seeing two other guards picked since you've been here and take it personal. That's what I've wanted to see. That's what I wanted to see. And I just haven't seen that from him, man. I've seen him try to fit in. I've seen him try to compete nicely. I've seen him try to compliment, but I haven't seen him go out there and say, dog, I was picked number 7th in the draft with Troy Weaver's first pick as GM. And I'm the only one of the draft picks right now that's really eliciting some major questions. So yeah, with Killian Hayes, that's disappointing. The other disappointing thing that I want to get on before we close is the team's defense. Now, I believe that since Cade Cunningham has kind of taken a step forward, the team has put up a little bit better I want to call it effort. I don't know really what you want to call it. But the defense is going to continue to be something that's shoddy at best until they can get some of these other players back. I don't want to make no excuses because we're going to get into why I believe the defense has struggled and why I believe we see it kind of trending a little bit better here over these last few games. The effort looks weird. It just looked weird. It looked like guys didn't know where to be out there on the court. They didn't know how to defend, and they've talked about it. They don't know how to defend those dribble handoffs, those switches and such. And that's what happens sometimes when you got young players, man. That's just what happens. I do believe that this team will fare better if they continue to kind of move more towards a man-to-man. But it gets tough, and Coach Casey talked about this, when you're getting called for fouls as much as they are. So it's this delicate balance. But this team does need to be able to take better advantage of his length, take better advantage of its speed and its athleticism. It needs to rebound better, which will help its defense a ton. So you're not having to defend the same team 1 and 2 times. Again, against the Warriors, that's what they did well. They were able to limit these guys to, one shot per possession because they were battling on the boards, just bringing up the stats here against the Warriors, the Pistons out rebounded them 47-42. So they won that battle. The Warriors still got 13 offensive rebounds against the Pistons. So that's 13 extra possessions that the Pistons had to defend. But they did get 35 defensive rebounds to the Warriors 29. The Pistons got 12 offensive rebounds themselves as well. So, it is something there. As this team continues to rebound, we continue to see their defense be better. And that rebound, honestly, is being led by Cade Cunningham and Isaiah Stewart. Those are two unlikely candidates that I thought would be really, really at the helm of this team and its rebounding. When we look at the rebounding stats here, Isaiah Stewart, 10.4. And I don't mean to slight Jalen Duren. It's just right now he's out for injury. But Jalen Duren, 6.7 rebounds a game. Cade Cunningham, 6.1. Sadiq Bey, 5.1. And then Jaden Ivey, 4.3. And Nerlens Noel's already come in and jumped right up there to 4-point rebound, four rebounds a game to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th on the team already. Already, man. He already came in, got a block, got a rebound, got a steal, got 2 assists in a game in 19 minutes. I believe long-term Nerlens is going to have a decent effect on the team, but not nearly as good of an effect as Alec Burks and Marvin Bagley's going to have. But yeah, this team, where you lack in knowledge, where you lack in knowing where to be, you got to be able to rely on effort. You have to be able to go all out. And sometimes I've seen this team, especially at the end of that Hawks game, their effort just seemed like it was just dead, as if they were like, well, this game is just over. And that's never what you want to see from your squad. You want to see your squad battle all the way to the end. In that Hawks game, they did give up 136 points, and it wasn't as if they gave it up against the Golden State Warriors. They gave up 114. Against the Hawks the other night, they gave up 118, but they lost 130. But against the Wizards, against the Knicks, and against the Hawks, in those games specifically, I saw, as that fourth quarter came in, a defensive effort that just looked like it didn't want to be out there. So that's one thing that they have to get right. This team is not good enough at all to just kind of go through the motions. They're not good enough defensively. They don't have enough defensive specialists. I wanted to believe that, Killian and his defense was going to be able to be game changing at some point in time, but it just hasn't been. And if you're not going to score the way that we believe he should, then you at least need to have a Jason Kidd type impact on the game defensively and offensively as it relates to playmaking. He's just not. So yeah, I'm hoping that they can clean that stuff up more and more. They've taken some strides in the last couple games. We've seen them rebound better. I've seen more guys go on to box out. Watch them tonight in this Bucks game. I've seen more guys make an attempt to box out, put their backs to the player, and make sure that they can have an opportunity. They did get out rebounded by the Bucks, and that's to be known. That's to be understood. The Bucks are a bigger team, a rebounding team. It was 50-43. Let's see here. The Bucks got 30 free throws, though. Man, they got to figure this out. And the free throws, the 3-point percentage was the same both ways, about 27%. But the Pistons outshot them overall 44%. Hopefully in this rematch tonight, the Pistons got 9 steals and 3 blocks. Like I said, showing some of the improved defense. That means they're using their length. They're using their scrappiness. They're getting into the lane, and they're doing things to be able to make it difficult on these teams rather than just laying down. This is not about going into the game wondering if you're going to win or not. It's about going into the game knowing that you gave your all. And that's what I want to see this team do on a defensive end every single game. I do believe that the outlook for this team is a little bit better than diagnosed. I saw people talking about they're going to start 0-10. They're going to start 1-9 in their first 10. I think they have a couple games here where they can try and snag one. Obviously, they got the Thunder coming up. Thunder started off good, though, man. They're 4-3 on the season, so I'm not saying they're a knockoff. But the Pistons have historically played very, very well against this team. But they have a couple opportunities here. I think that they have an opportunity against the Knicks. But they need to take it personal. The Knicks have been a team now for 2 years in a row that have really, really, really looked to punk them. I'm talking about come in and punk them. Even in preseason, we talked about this, man. They came in and it was like Coach Tibbs was like, nah. Everybody talking about this squad over here. People bantied about in the preseason about if they could potentially be better, even last year. And with Coach Tibbs' teams, it ain't personal to one team at all. It's about this how we gonna play. And he gets the players that go out there and do that. And they're gonna come out here and they're gonna punch the Pistons and punch the Pistons and punch the Pistons. And it's gonna be on them to be able to stand up and state, you know what, whether we win or lose, we know that we're not folding. We know that. So defensively, that's been the biggest thing. There's no big like rah, big, metric or this, that, and the other. It's their effort. I don't like using the word motor because I believe they're all trying. They're all giving it, but as it relates to that aspect of when Killian in his shot isn't going in, how hard is he actually playing on defense? How effective is his defense by the third or fourth quarter? And it hasn't been as effective. I'm hoping that the team can pick up a little bit on some of this positivity that we've seen, positive growth that we've seen out of Hamidou Diallo. That's who I hope Killian Hayes, at least on this squad, is looking at as it relates to get your head right and watch your game follow. So definitely, man. Hey, look, we covered a lot today. We'll be watching this game tonight. I will be getting out some articles, some takeaways, some observations. I will be also getting an article out about Saddiq Bey, Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, and this fit. Getting into these statements that James Edwards of The Athletic also had about Saddiq Bey, Coach Casey, and they'll talk about getting his usage rate up as well. So we're going to try and dive into that and get a little bit more about their combination when they're on the floor together versus Saddiq Bey with that bench. Now that we have had a few more games to be able to get some stats out. But hey, look, I appreciate you guys as always for rocking out. For Jeff, Mr. Everything, for myself, Detroit Kool-Aid, and for the legend, Detroit News Rod Beard. Hey, yo, this is Woodward Pistons, man. Till next time.